Yes, man, it really is me. Zul, aka the instant burner, man. And look, I know NBA 2K26 just dropped, and there's still a lot of guys who are struggling to find that jumper that actually greens consistently. But today, I got you guys covered, as I'm going to be breaking down my favorite shooting bases in the game. I'm not only going to break those bases down, but I'm also going to give you guys the requirements for these bases, the pros and cons to these bases, what to look for just in case you guys want to find your own bases. And as a bonus, I'm going to give you guys a starter jump shot to help unleash your burner. All right, YouTube, let's get into why shooting bases are so important on NBA 2K26. As you see right here, man, we have a lot of shooting bases, and you're probably asking in the bottom right, what does all four of these things mean? So we're gonna go from top. Release height. Release height is pretty much just what it means, bro. When you're releasing the ball, how much arch does the ball have when you're shooting the ball? And this is very, very important only when somebody is jumping. If this is around like you see right here, like a C, if somebody jumps, they're gonna be able to get a good contest. Even if it's a bad late contest, they're gonna be able to get a good one. So in my opinion, I wouldn't go, unless you're a spot up and you shoot wide open, I wouldn't go no lower than a B minus, somewhere in there. You know what I'm saying? If you're a spot up, then you know you can tinker with that. But it is very, very important when it comes to getting late closeouts and contests when somebody is jumping. The next one is your release speed, just like it says, just how fast you want your jumper to be. This is one of those tricky things because an A+ for one jumper is not an A+ for another jumper, if that makes sense. So for one jumper, an A+ might be super fast, and for another jumper, an A+ might be like molasses, feel like a B-. So it's one of them things you really have to test out, and you have to keep in mind, because a lot of my jumpers, I like to do 3/4 or 4/4. This year, what I've realized is whatever release speed you have it on, let me show you the release speeds. I'm sorry. Release speed right here. So you know you got 4 release speeds, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, a lot of times last year I like to do mine on 3/4, but this year your release speed also dictate how fast your fade is. You know, fades are very important in this game. So I was missing a lot of my fades at the beginning of the year, and everybody was hitting theirs. I'm like, why am I missing these with the stick? You know what I'm saying? It keeps saying slightly slow. Why is it saying that? It's because my release speed was at a 3 out of 4. So me personally, all my jump shots this year, I put them at 4 out of 4, just so I can have my fade on time and it's just easier. You know what I'm saying? Because I fade most of my shots anyway. And the timings are very, very easy. If you're somebody that use the stick for shooting, all you gotta do is get the tempo right anyway. So you can shoot it late as long as you got that tempo right. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to really worry about, oh man, my jump shot is just too fast, man, I can't control it. You don't got to worry about that this year. So me personally, I like all mine to be on 4 out of 4 if I can. The next one is defensive immunity. This is pretty much one of those, if somebody's in the vicinity of you, are they gonna get a contest? You know, you might play somebody and they're like, and you like, damn, bro, I thought I was there, bro. How's that open? It's probably because his defensive immunity is high. You know, so when you have a lower defensive immunity, like a C, D, something like that, bro, it's not gonna take much for somebody to get a light contest on you. They can just be running around you and you're gonna get a 5 to 10%. You know what I'm saying? So this is one of those things I wouldn't go no lower unless again you are a spot up. I wouldn't go no lower than like a B. No lower than like a B minus, man. This is very, 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 very important when it comes to you having open shots. The next one is time and stability. Pretty much, if you are a spot up, you don't have to worry about this at all. If you're a spot up, it doesn't matter if it's a D minus, C, doesn't matter. You don't have to really worry about it, because time and stability is pretty much, is your timing going to change when you start losing stamina? You know, as you lose stamina on this game, the harder it is to shoot shots. You know, a lot of times when you get to that low stamina, you shoot it late. You know what I'm saying? So time and stability helps with that. If you are a main ball handler, like to dribble the ball a lot, you want to have this as high as you can. On my builds, I like to have this on at least a B+. You know what I'm saying? It helps me. Even with the stick, bro, you can still green ladder those shots when you're tired, when it's a B+ or higher. So keep all those things in mind. Like I said, a lot of this doesn't apply to you if you are a spot up, but hey, these are things that you need to look at when you are picking your jump shot. When you're picking your jump shot, even though you might see these ratings right here, you can go off these. It's still gonna rely on your upper release 1 and your upper release 2. So you pretty much got to tinker around with that to get the right ratings that you want. Now let's move on to visual cue. You have jump, set point, push, and release. Jump means pretty much in older terms, very early on your release. Set point is early, push is late, release is very late. Or if you want to put it in other terms, when you go for jump, this is pretty much a couple frames after you jump, your player jumps off the ground. This is when you will release the ball. Set point would be you release the ball just around the apex of your player going up into the motion. Push is pretty much when your player is about to push to release the ball out of his hand. That's what push is. Release is pretty much right before you release the ball from your hands. That's pretty much what release is right here. Me personally, all my jump shots I use on release for a couple reasons. For me, it just gives you more leeway. When I mean leeway, I mean if you get a fast jumper, you get a slow jumper, you can control it better. For me, when I have release on, I have time to actually time that jump shot, whether it's with the button or if it's with the stick. But that's a personal preference. You don't have to use release. You can use push, you use set point, just whatever it goes for you, because a lot of people think release is just too slow, but I make sure all my jump shots, the release speed is all the way to an A+, maxed out where you can't see any smidges. So I don't really have a problem with me having slow jump shots. So like I said, there's no right and wrong answer. What you pretty much got to do, you got to get in the lab, figure out what works best for you, when it comes to visual cue, where you want to release the ball at. And I will give you guys this advice. If you're in my court, you're practicing your jump shot and you're getting a lot of slightly earlys, what you want to do, you want to tinker with this visual cue to the left. If you're getting a lot of slightly lates, you want to tinker with this to the right. So let's say I'm making a jump shot and I'm getting a lot of slightly earlys. What I would do, I would tinker this 3 ticks to the left. So 1, 2, 3, go out of there, try out the jump shot, see how it feels. If it's still slightly early, I would boom, do 3 more. You know what I'm saying? If I'm getting slightly late, then I would maybe do 1 or 2 just to try to tinker and get to that certain spot that you want your visual cue to be. But like I said, there's no right and wrong answers. Just have fun and get in the lab. The first base that we're going to be using, guys, is James Harden. To unlock this base, you have to have a 75 mid-range or 3-punter, and you have to be between 6'5" and 6'10". A lot of people don't talk about this base, but it has great stats, man. It has you can put it to 3/4 or 4/4, and its release speed is still going to be an A+. Where this base really stands out is its defensive immunity, which is going to be an A, and the timing stability, which I told you guys about earlier. It could be a B+, anything around those lines. The only con to this base is this release height, which is going to be a C regardless. The next shooting base we're going to be talking about is Matt Ryan, as you only need a 73 mid-range or 3-point shot, and you have to be 6'5" to 6'9". When you look at it from the outside looking in, it looks trash. You see the release height looks trash, timing stability looks trash, but this is a hidden gem jump shot, bro. This is one of my favorite jump shots on the game, as you see in the gameplay, and you can pretty much get everything up on this jump shot. And speaking of jump shots, this is the jump shot that I'm using in this gameplay right here. Just look, everything's above a B+. You get a lot of contested shots with this jump shot. The only thing that's kind of bad is the timing stability. Like I said though, as long as you're not dead tired blinking, timing stability means nothing on this game. My favorite shooting base, and the one that I'm currently using right now, is Jesus Shuttlesworth Ray Allen. To unlock it, you have to have a 79 mid-range or 79 3-ball, and you have to be 6'5" to 6'10". This base is amazing in my opinion. You see the release speed says C, but you can literally get all A's in all 4 categories when you put the right release combinations together. It's fast, and when you take bad shots like you see right here, they're green most of the time. When it comes to the cons of this shooting base, it really has none. Really none with this shooting base, bro. You cannot go wrong with the Ray Allen. That's all I have for you guys today. In the comment section, let me know what shooting bases that you want me guys to try or that I'm sleeping on. Again, it'd be greatly appreciated if you guys can smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, because I'm going to be giving you guys tips and tricks all year long to keep you up to date on NBA 2K26. And y'all already know who it is.